right, great, great. So I know we've done a number of different presentations for your group, and we very much appreciate the time you give us. Today we figured we'd go into the American historical newspapers a bit, because you've got a number of users throughout the state that seem to be having a lot of success with this. So we figured it'd be a good one to get into for the beginning of school. So this resource, it's made up of over 440 historical newspapers from across the United States. Those historical newspapers go back as far as 1690, the very first newspaper published in the US, all the way through to 2000. And as you can see by this timeline interface, this was designed to really help support US history studies, although it is cross-curricular, because we do include the entire issue of the newspaper when we add a newspaper to this database. So it does get into other subject areas, and I will point that out. Okay, when you click on any one of these, for example, if I click on 1690 and I want to see what did that first newspaper look like, I see here early colonial newspapers published. So that's under social cultural. If I wanted to look at the war, Spanish succession, there we go, government, military, political events, the French and Indian War, right? Or discoveries, inventions, and firsts. We're getting into science and things of that nature. But just an example, let's go take a look and see what that first newspaper looked like. So you can see here, we've got a summary of what that event is. Every single entry on the timeline includes a summary of that person, that event, whatever it might be, okay? Below that, we have primary source documents. So these are all articles that were pulled to support that specific event or person and so on. And then additional searches in case you didn't find what you were looking for here. But example is, if I want to look at what was the mission statement of that very first newspaper, when I click that, you'll see here, this opens up a digital image of that newspaper exactly the way it was printed back in 1690. 332 years ago, this thing was printed. And here's the exact image of that newspaper. And you'll see here by these thumbnails that we have all 3 pages of that newspaper loaded. Okay, so if I wanted to see what that looked like, I can simply click here, and there is page 1 of that newspaper. Now, this newspaper was printed for only 1 day, because once the British read the newspaper, they decided they didn't like what it said, and they burnt down the presses. Now, just to give you another example, let's jump into World War II. Okay, so here we go, the same exact layout as you can see, but here, for example, a classic, right? The Grapes of Wrath. So you can get literary criticism from exactly when that work was penned in 1939. Okay, I go down here, I see we've got Oklahoma, the musical. So here I'm getting into theater. Okay, I go a little further down, United Nations founded. So now we're getting into the civics area. I go over here, nuclear era started, right? The helicopter. So now we're getting into the science. And then, of course, we've got all our World War II documents. Now, we also add historical events at the request of our users. So an example of that is, you'll see right here, All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. One of our users last year came to us and said, can you add this for us? So we said, of course we could. So what we did was, you can see here, we created the summary. Now, one of the things we're also doing with the summaries now is, aside of just giving a summary of what that event or person was, we're adding comprehension questions. So you can use these to check, did the students really understand what they just got done reading, and so on. And we even include some suggestions on projects and things of that nature, okay? So here it is, we built this for that user, and you can see here, all the primary sources, okay? So if I click on Rockford Peaches, send the daisies packing, you'll see here, okay, I'll make this a little smaller, okay? There's that article right there. And all of these newspapers are digital images, okay, and have the same exact interface here. So I can view more articles back from where I was at, okay? I can search the page or the issue for more information, because again, we have the entire issue of this newspaper. And in this case, it's the Fort Wayne News Sentinel from September 18th, 1950. And as you can see here, we've got all 28 pages. I can get information on where my story is coming from. I can create the citation. And if you're using Noodle Tools, RefWorks, EasyBib, you can export to those tools. But there's an example of the MLA8 citation. I can email this to someone. Who do I want to send it to? From me, a random message. When you send this, the system is mobile friendly. So whether they get this on their phone, a tablet, their PC, it doesn't matter. It will open up. Okay. I'm going to make this a little smaller. Okay. Because what I want to do is show you another function that gets heavily used by students, because maybe I want to clip out this article. Well, I've got a clip function. So if the article has not already been clipped out, that allows me to literally clip that article out of the newspaper. Okay. And I want to make sure I get the whole thing. And then I can print it, download it to a PDF, or save it out to Google Drive. So example is if I download it, I can even include the citation. So now what that will do is that'll clip this directly off the page and create a nice clean PDF. And you can see it's running there, that I can now, as you can see, use this directly in with my project. It also makes it easier to read in many cases, because if you're dealing with old historical newspapers, many times they can be difficult to read. And you can see here is the citation. So it makes it very, very easy to use. Okay. Again, you can print it, full page or clip, download it, copy link. So this is a Duro link. So when I copy this link, I can put it into a lesson plan. I can email it to a student, to a teacher, to a parent. When they get it, it will always open up to this page. Okay. And then again, if you're using Google Classroom, it can integrate with Google Classroom. So if I was in Google Classroom, I could download this directly into an assignment. I can peruse page by page, jump to a page this way, or use my thumbnails. And as you can see, it is the entire issue of the page, so, of the newspaper. So you get everything. You get the cartoons, the classifieds, the advertisements. I mean, literally, it is everything that was published in the newspaper of that day. Okay. My breadcrumbs bring me right back to where I was. Now, example, maybe I did not find what I was looking for using these primary source documents that we created. Well, we've got these searches. So I can search a League of Their Own, and that will actually go out and search the set of historical newspapers with a preset search and bring back a set of results. And you can see it's very tight, 54 results with some filters. I've already got some dates that I've applied to this. Okay. We've got our source type, of course, which is all newspapers. I can filter by year, by source name, and so on. But example, this is talking about, of course, A League of Their Own, the movie that Gina Davis was in. So if I click here, that ties to girls professional baseball, and there we go. There is that article right there, okay, which I can cut out. So as you can see, very, very easy to use timeline that's organized and really it really was originally designed around U.S. history textbooks. And it highlights every major era in U.S. history all the way through to 2000. Okay. Now, you can also keyword search this document. So if I click on this, that'll allow me to create a keyword search. Okay. So if I wanted to search out, for example, the Constitution. Okay. Now, you'll note here, I put a question mark where that S is supposed to be. I did that for a reason, and I'll illustrate that in just a moment. But now I'm going to get all the information, for example, on the Constitution. And the system automatically defaults to newest. Now I can go oldest and best match, but I can filter by different dates, okay, by different locations, as you can see, because we do have, again, we've got location. If I just click this, just to give you an idea, okay, we've got locations from across the United States. We're pulling information, okay? So we're getting information from every state. So if I wanted Wisconsin, I could simply click that, and that would narrow down just content from Wisconsin, okay? And I'll hit apply. Now I'm going to do best. I'm going to filter this to oldest, and let's see if we've got a paper that's old enough so I can illustrate why I did that question mark. Okay, and we do not. That's what I thought. Okay, I'm going to get rid of Wisconsin though, just so I can show you the reason you put in a question mark. It's just a little hint on how to search historical documents, because way back when, you'll see here when I click on this document right here, that letter S in the middle of the word Constitution does not look like a letter S. It looks like the letter F as in Frank. Okay, and I'm just going to go to page 1 to illustrate that. So that question mark that I put in there gave me the ability to grab any character. So you can see here that although this is from the Boston newsletter, you can see there that what's called a long S. So that gives you just a little hint, because whenever the S was in the middle of the word, when they were hand typesetting everything, the head and the tail of the S would typically break off. So they came out with what they call that long S. Okay. So you can see, easy to use. It's got a timeline that gets you to everything you need, but you can also keyword search it for any document you wish. Okay. So very, very simple, easy tool to use. We also integrate with, we have LTIs that will integrate with Canvas for you as well. And we are developing one that will eventually integrate with Schoology. Any questions, Jeff, from anyone?
I haven't seen any questions come into the chat or the Q&A module yet, but of course, if any come in after the session or in response to our follow-up messages, we will definitely pass them on or put them in touch with the staff over at NewsBank. Great.
Appreciate the time, and I want to thank everyone for letting us present.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
All righty. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.